Sorry. I guess we can call this like a PS. There was something that I kind of skirted over because I knew that I was about to discuss the terrible feeling of being alone through what had happened to me. But it's an extremely significant and impactful part of what happened, and so I do want to discuss that real quick. And that was the moment that I realized that my body was paralyzed. So as I had said, I went in for a CT scan and they brought me back to a bay. And I was there with my client, who obviously knew me as this super strong, capable person who they looked to get all of their fitness advice from. And my uncle and his husband were there, and the doctor came in to do an evaluation on me. And he said, I need you to pick up your leg. And I tried with everything in my power to try to pick my leg up. And I could not make it move. And it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And since it happens often, where I can't move body parts. But that was the first time. And the first time is always the most impactful and always the hardest and the worst, especially for somebody who has a condition like me with dystonia, where body parts just don't move sometimes. Up to that point, I had been such a specimen of physical expertise. I was a highly sought after fitness professional in New York City, which is incredible to achieve. I had won NCAA's Division III. I had been a Division I NCAA All-American numerous times. I had been ranked in the world. I was one of the greatest athletes there is. I mean, that top, 1% of the world. And to be unable to move your body part even the slightest bit is something that I don't think that even me explaining it can do justice for just how earth-shattering that is. To not be able to control your body that you were able to control just a few hours prior. It's definitely something that you have to come to terms with eventually and work through, but I don't think I have the proper words to explain it. But yeah, to go through that and be in a situation where you can't even be scared because you're so upset that you are alone in this situation. And yes, I had a friend there, I had my uncles, but I knew that they were all going to need to leave. I was a wife and I was a daughter, and neither of those men were there for me when I needed them the most. And this isn't a poor me, this isn't a victim thing, but I couldn't even be scared that my body wasn't working properly because I was just so sad that I wasn't loved enough to matter to those men. And nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to be alone at their lowest point. And I think for a very long time, I didn't know that I deserved more, because in those moments, the men that were supposed to be there for me, supposed to love me, supposed to support me, weren't. My husband has his faults, and so that's another thing, but my dad not being there for me really was devastating. And I don't think that to this day he fully understands how heartbreaking it was for me to go through what I went through without him. And he could say, well, I took you to surgery that day and this and that, and those are things we can talk about in the future through videos. But him not coming that night and then being told, like, Dad, I sent you this message, and for that message to no longer be on his phone, the calls to be deleted, you have to recognize that somebody was doing that. So for a while, I blamed his partner for what they had done, but my dad was presented with those facts. This had happened, and he made the choice to not see the wholeness of the story. I would never leave one of my children, no matter the circumstances. I would never leave one of my children alone, without anybody, without any support, in a hospital bed when they are paralyzed with their brain bleeding. I just could not do that. Nor could I see that my child is in a hospital bed with their brain bleeding, and they're asking for the support of their other parent, and just delete those messages, and just delete those call records, and just prevent that child from getting the support that they wanted. You have to put your ego to the side and allow somebody to have the support, even if it isn't from you and even if it doesn't involve you. But that was the choice that was made by that person to make me be alone. And for a long time, I did just blame them solely. But recognize that my dad has been told this information numerous times, and he still continues to back the other person in this situation instead of his own child. So, yeah. I think that there was a lot that happened on December 14th, 2018, that changed my life on so many different levels. It was truly the most devastating day of my life. Not just because I became permanently disabled, but also because I realized that the men who were in my life were never going to be the supportive people that I deserved to have, that I deserved to be supported by. And so this little PS message is to everybody out there who is going through something, who is asking for support or needing support from their partner or their parent, and they're not getting it, and they get gaslit, manipulated, deflected into believing that they had done something wrong in that situation. For everybody out there, it's not that. Toxic people will be toxic, and if you're asking for help, you deserve help. And if somebody can't give you help, then they're not deserving of being in your life. That's all until I talk tomorrow. Love and life.